shown in the Valley Season 2 trailer. Jax made a big declaration on his romantic life on episode 8 of the Valley after show. "I do talk to girls and hang out, but I'm not dating anybody, no." Brittany told Lala Kent about her dating life on the May 21 episode on her podcast, Give Them Lala. "I'm having fun," Brittany said. "I have a crush, nothing serious, but yeah, we'll see where it goes." Elsewhere, Brittany shared that there's one Bravoleb she has her eye on too, Summer House's Jesse Solomon. "I think he's a doll baby," she told the Daily Dish. "So, I like tall men. He did make me feel good, and it was like I needed that. I had no confidence anymore," she shared on the Valley after show, "and I did enjoy my time with him." The romance was short-lived though. As Brittany put it, "He lied to me about so much." When Brittany Cartwright walked down the aisle with Jax Taylor in 2019, fans of Vanderpump Rules, and now the Valley hoped it was the beginning of a fairy tale ending. But like many reality TV romances, the highs came with excruciating lows, and in 2024, the couple announced their separation. What followed wasn't just a painful period of self-reflection and co-parenting, but an unexpected barrage of messages from complete strangers who seemed all too eager to share details about Jax's dating life with Brittany, some of them bordering on cruel. In a revealing and emotional segment from the Valley after show, Brittany opened up about the unsettling, and in her words, disgusting messages she's received from women who had been seeing or interacting with Jax during their separation. "She sent me a selfie. In my own bed," Brittany's voice trembled with a mixture of frustration and disbelief as she recalled the moment she opened a message that crossed all lines of respect and decency. "One of the girls actually sent me a selfie from my bed," Brittany said. "My bed, with a picture of my son in the background." The shocking photo arrived unprompted, accompanied by mocking and graphic text messages. "She not only sent me that selfie, but also these disgusting messages," she shared. "Things no woman should ever have to see, especially not from someone sleeping in her former marital home." It wasn't an isolated incident either. "I've gotten multiple screenshots of text messages from multiple different women," she continued. "It's awful. Like, why are y'all sending me this? I don't want to see it. All these girls and stuff. It's not helpful, it's just mean." What Brittany described isn't uncommon in the reality TV world, where personal boundaries often blur and the lines between public and private life are constantly shifting. But this intrusion was particularly hurtful. It went beyond gossip. It was direct, intentional cruelty. "There was a thong on my bathroom sink." In the Valley Season 2 trailer, fans got a glimpse of another deeply disrespectful moment. Brittany finding a thong on her bathroom sink, a literal symbol of another woman's presence in the home she once shared with Jax. "Obviously, I was shocked," Brittany later told producers. "We had an understanding. We weren't going to bring anyone into the house, especially around our son. It was a respect thing, but he broke that agreement." According to Brittany, she and Jax had agreed that although they were separated and seeing other people, the marital home would remain a neutral space, free of new romantic partners. "We're still co-parenting. This is my child's environment too," she said. But he treated it like some kind of bachelor pad. For fans, it was a jarring departure from the image Jax tried to portray, a newly matured father trying to repair things. But as always, the cameras told a more complicated story. Jax says he's not dating, just hanging out. On episode 8 of the Valley after show, Jax tried to clarify his side. He claimed he was simply socializing and wasn't in a committed relationship. "I do talk to girls and hang out, but I'm not dating anybody, no," he stated. To many, it felt like a convenient line, one that gave him the freedom to behave however he wanted while still insisting he hadn't moved on. But Brittany wasn't buying it, and neither were fans who had seen mounting evidence of new women in his life, some even documented on social media or seen with Jax around Los Angeles. Jax's actions painted a picture of someone moving on fast, while Brittany was still navigating the emotional wreckage of a broken marriage and trying to maintain stability for their young son, Cruz. I'm having fun. Brittany finds confidence again. While Brittany wasn't actively trying to date, she admitted she wasn't closing herself off to the idea either. On the Give Them Lala podcast with Lala Kent, Brittany shared an update about her own dating life. I'm having fun, she said with a smile. I have a crush, nothing serious, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. The revelation marked a shift for Brittany. For months, she had seemed burdened by the collapse of her marriage, but now she was starting to reclaim joy, even if cautiously. A sense of confidence was returning, and with it, the willingness to explore what life outside of Jax could look like. After everything I went through, she added, I needed to feel wanted again, to feel like I was desirable, like I was more than just Jax's wife or Cruz's mom. I needed to be Brittany again. A crush on Jesse Solomon fans were delighted when Brittany admitted to having a little Bravo crush on Summer House's Jesse Solomon. I think he's a doll baby, she said during an interview with the Daily Dish. And he's a tall drink of water, so I like tall men. The comment was lighthearted and playful, but it also suggested that Brittany was allowing herself to look ahead. Whether anything comes of her admiration for Jesse or not, the moment was symbolic. She was choosing hope, laughter, and the possibility of happiness again. And for someone who spent so many years navigating betrayal, infidelity, and public scrutiny in her marriage, that was no small feat. The Julian chapter, short but significant before all the current headlines, Brittany had already tested the waters of post-marriage dating by briefly getting involved with someone familiar, Jax's friend Julian. He did make me feel good, Brittany said on the Valley After Show, and it was like, I needed that. I had no confidence anymore. I did enjoy my time with him. While the romance was ultimately short-lived, it had value. It reminded me that I can still be cared for, that someone could like me just for me, she explained. But he lied to me about so much. That's why it ended. Though she didn't go into all the details, Brittany's comments hinted that even in her attempt to find light after heartbreak, deception seemed to follow her. Still, she came away from the experience stronger, wiser, even, about what she wanted and deserved in future relationships. Public divorce, private pain. What makes Brittany's experience all the more painful is the microscope under which it all unfolded. As a public figure, her personal struggles weren't confined to whispered conversations among friends. They were broadcasted, picked apart on social media, and turned into headlines. I could take a lot, Brittany admitted, but when strangers start sending you receipts of your husband with other women, when they gloat about it, it becomes too much. Some fans have sympathized with Jax, painting him as a man trying, and failing, to grow up. Others have firmly stood by Brittany, applauding her strength and condemning the cruelty of those who weaponized her pain. Brittany, for her part, has been focused on healing and protecting her son above all. Everything I do is for Cruz. Throughout her interviews and appearances, one thing has remained constant: Brittany's commitment to her son, Cruz. Everything I do is for Cruz, she often says. I want him to grow up in a healthy, happy environment, even if that means his parents aren't together. The hurt from Jax's betrayal may still sting, but Brittany refuses to let it define her. I didn't ask for this, she said, but I'm choosing to rise above it, for me and for my baby boy. Looking ahead, Brittany's next chapter. Brittany's journey is far from over, but she's made it clear she's no longer willing to be a doormat for anyone. Not Jax, not women seeking drama, and not the trolls who thrive on her misery. She's reclaiming her identity, one laugh, one date, and one brave boundary at a time. While Jax continues to grapple with public perception and the consequences of his choices, Brittany is building something new. Whether it's focusing on her podcast appearances, expanding her brand, or simply enjoying quiet days with Cruz, she's finding peace in the simple sharing things. The details on how she met actor and former flame, Eddie Cibrian. The Vanderpump Rules alum is releasing her first memoir, My Good Side, later this month, recalling all of the relationships she's had, along with the good and the bad times in her life. In an excerpt from the memoir, published by Entertainment Weekly, Scheana recalled meeting Eddie shortly after moving to LA after college at the age of 21. At the time, she was working at a private members cigar lounge and restaurant, where she first met the actor who was tall, dark, and handsome, with dimples. Our relationship wasn't romantic from the jump, though the writing was on the wall from day one, she wrote. Eddie was the sweetest, funniest, most charismatic, consummate gentleman I'd ever met, Scheana continued. He always made me feel like I was the only girl in the room when I was working. But Eddie was married, and Scheana had no idea that he was married. Longtime VPR viewers may recall that VPR Season 1, Episode 1 kicked off with Scheana being confronted about the affair. To be clear, Eddie wasn't my boyfriend, at least not exclusively, she admitted in her memoir. But we did start a physical relationship at the end of 2006, which was a weekly booty call. Scheana admitted in her memoir that in the beginning, she did think about her future with Eddie, but she was in no place to settle down. The frightening thing is that I totally thought I could end up with Eddie. He looked how I'd always imagined my future husband would, and he treated me as well, she wrote. But I wasn't trying to settle down at the age of 21, and I was keeping my options open and dating other people. Things got more serious later on, though, so much so that when I was moving apartments, Eddie came to help me and met most of my friends and even my mother, Scheana continued. His best friend also joined us with his son, who was a toddler at the time. We were literally intertwining our families in the people closest to us. It really felt like we were building something, she added. What's more, Scheana never suspected that Eddie was married. As she put it, did I think it was weird that I never went to his house? No, he lived in Calabasas, supposedly, and I certainly wasn't making the trek to Calabasas in 2007, when Ubers didn't exist, and I had less than $1,000 to my name. It was so much easier and more fun to hang out in Beverly Hills or Hollywood, and my place was closer and more convenient. I didn't see a single red flag, especially since we weren't exclusive. One night while working in the cigar lounge where she initially met Eddie, a member apparently approached Scheana and told her that Eddie was married. I didn't believe it, or maybe I didn't want to believe it, because I was wild about Eddie, she wrote. And again, we were out together all the time in public, so I didn't feel like some secret mistress. Still, I was freaking out and had a massive pit in my stomach. Scheana said she proceeded to confront Eddie, but he denied being married. It was gaslighting in its most basic form, she recalled. Yet, I trusted him, so we continued hanging out. In the published excerpt, Scheana also admitted to dating Desperate Housewives actor Jesse Metcalfe, in between her hookups with Eddie, at the beginning of 2007. Scheana went on a date to a movie premiere with him, and had spent her 22nd birthday with him, where he bought her a pair of Marc Jacobs sunglasses, which she still has to this day, before their relationship eventually faded out. Overall, Jesse and I had a great time together, she admitted. We would order in dinner with his parents at his house, and, when we were alone, he would play me the guitar and serenade me with songs like, Hey There, Delilah. It felt like I was living a real-life fantasy with this guy I'd watched on TV and in movies for years. These anecdotes, and so many more, will be included in Scheana's new book, My Good Side, which will be released in bookstores on July 22. According to the publisher in My Good Side, Scheana will pull back the layers of who she really is and share all sides of her, the good, bad, and messy, bringing readers on a wild nostalgia trip through the early days of Vanderpump Rules. Scheana has already stated that she will talk about her relationship with her first husband, Mike Shea, in the book. She will also address her parents' relationship, her California upbringing, and her time on VPR. Scheana Shea has never been one to shy away from speaking her truth, But in her upcoming memoir, My Good Side, the Vanderpump Rules star is pulling back the curtain more than ever before. With candid stories from her early days in Los Angeles, the highs and lows of reality TV stardom, and her past romantic entanglements, including one particularly headline-making affair with actor Eddie Cibrian, Scheana is finally ready to tell her side of the story, raw and unfiltered. In a surprising excerpt published by Entertainment Weekly, Scheana recounts the beginning of her whirlwind and ultimately heartbreaking relationship with Cibrian, years before his infamous marriage scandal with singer LeAnn Rimes. The revelations are more layered, emotional, and vulnerable than fans have ever seen before. And now, as her memoir's July 22 release date approaches, readers are getting a deeper look at the woman behind the bubbly reality star persona. A starry-eyed start in lay, Scheana moved to Los Angeles fresh out of college, eager to chase her dreams of making it in the entertainment industry. At just 21, she landed a job at a swanky private members-only cigar lounge and restaurant in Beverly Hills, a hotspot frequented by celebrities, power players, and Hollywood elite. It was there that she first met Eddie Cibrian, the tall, dimpled actor known for his roles in Third Watch and Sunset Beach. Our relationship wasn't romantic from the jump, though the writing was on the wall from day one, Scheana writes in her memoir. She describes Cibrian as the sweetest, funniest, most charismatic, consummate gentleman I'd ever met. He would come in often, charming her effortlessly while she worked. He always made me feel like I was the only girl in the room, she recalled. To a young, hopeful Scheana, Eddie seemed like a dream come true. He was older, confident, and treated her with a level of attention she'd never experienced before. What she didn't know, what would only come to light much later, was that the actor she had begun falling for was already married. A secret unfolds. The physical aspect of their relationship began toward the end of 2006. At the time, Scheana wasn't looking for anything serious, but she couldn't deny the pull she felt toward Eddie. We did start a physical relationship, which was a weekly booty call, she writes with honesty and without shame. The emotional weight of the relationship, however, crept in slowly. I totally thought I could end up with Eddie, she admits. He looked how I'd always imagined my future husband would, and he treated me so well. But she was only 21 and still dating other people. She didn't feel like she was betraying anyone or being betrayed, at least not until the truth began to unravel. At first, there were no glaring red flags. She never went to Eddie's house, but that didn't strike her as odd. He lived in Calabasas, supposedly, and I certainly wasn't making the trek to Calabasas in 2007. I had less than $1,000 to my name. Hanging out in Hollywood or Beverly Hills, near her own apartment, was more practical. That practicality may have unknowingly shielded her from Eddie's double life. Meeting friends and family, despite the casual start, things between Scheana and Eddie gradually escalated. So much so that when I was moving apartments, Eddie came to help me and met most of my friends and even my mother, Scheana reveals. His best friend brought along his toddler son, and they all spent time together. We were literally intertwining our families and the people closest to us, she writes. It really felt like we were building something. It was, to Scheana, the beginning of something real, something with potential. And yet, one night at work, her perfect illusion began to crumble. A club member approached her discreetly and asked, "You know Eddie's married, right?" Scheana's world tilted in an instant. I didn't believe it, or maybe I didn't want to believe it, she confesses. Her stomach dropped, her head spun. She had been seen in public with Eddie, dinners, lounges, social events. She never once felt like a secret. Panicked, she confronted Eddie. He flatly denied it. It was gaslighting in its most basic form, Scheana writes. Yet I trusted him, so we continued hanging out. A tangled web of romance, as if navigating a secretive romance wasn't enough. Scheana reveals another surprising layer to her romantic life during this period. She was also dating Desperate Housewives actor Jesse Metcalfe. In early 2007, between hookups with Eddie, Jesse entered the picture. They went to a movie premiere together. Jesse spent time with her on her 22nd birthday and even gifted her a pair of Marc Jacobs sunglasses that she still owns today. We would order in dinner with his parents at his house, and when we were alone, he would play me the guitar and serenade me with songs like "Hey There, Delilah." It was the stuff of dreams. It felt like I was living a real-life fantasy with this guy I'd watched on TV and in movies for years. Though her time with Jesse eventually fizzled out, it only made the emotional tug-of-war with Eddie more complicated. I was young, confused, and chasing validation from the wrong people, she later admits. Scheana's infamous VPR introduction. Fans of Vanderpump Rules know that Scheana's past with Eddie Cibrian wasn't a footnote. It was practically the headline in the very first episode. Season 1, Episode 1 features Scheana being confronted about her role in Eddie's affair. The backlash was swift, and much of the public saw her as the other woman. But as Scheana tells it now, the reality was far more nuanced. To be clear, Eddie wasn't my boyfriend, at least not exclusively, she writes. She had no idea he was married during much of their involvement, and when she did find out, she was manipulated into believing otherwise. It wasn't about being the villain, she writes now. It was about being vulnerable, being fooled, and being hurt. A memoir about more than romance, while the Cibrian chapter is sure to grab headlines. My Good Side is about much more than one scandalous relationship. Scheana opens up about her upbringing in California, her relationship with her parents, her struggles with self-worth, and her eventual marriage and divorce from Mike Shea. She writes about becoming a household name, not through acting as she originally dreamed, but through reality television and the toll that visibility took on her mental health. Most importantly, the book showcases Scheana's evolution from a starry-eyed 21-year-old to a grown woman, mother, and TV personality who has learned from every mistake and triumph. Looking back with clarity in writing My Good Side, Scheana says she found a kind of catharsis. There were so many moments I had pushed aside or buried, she said in a recent interview. But looking back, I can see the patterns, the insecurities, the need for approval. I can see how I was looking for love in all the wrong places. She no longer holds resentment for Eddie Cibrian or anyone else from her past. I don't regret anything, she says. Even the painful stuff made me stronger. With her memoir set for release on July 22, fans and critics alike are bracing for an unfiltered glimpse into the real Scheana Shay, the one behind the glam, the drama, and the pop culture headlines. Scheana's story is, at its heart, a story of resilience. It's about a young woman who was thrown into the limelight with no script, no guidebook, and no idea that her private heartbreaks would become public fodder. But through it all, she's emerged more self-aware and grounded than ever. My Good Side isn't just a tell-all, it's a coming-of-age story wrapped in Hollywood glitter, laced with betrayal, passion, and ultimately healing. As Scheana writes in her closing chapter, "There's power in telling your own story. This is mine. The good, the bad, the messy, and yes, even the sides I didn't always want you to see. And now, at long last, the world is finally seeing Scheana Shay's good side."